Welcome everybody, another episode of the Centre Circle podcast, the last in our Euro series. We're going to run through the Euro 2024 final in today's episode. How the match went, what it now means for the future of a few players and both teams, and look a little bit ahead now to the carnage that's going to be the transfer window, and also touch on COPA America a little bit as well. So you got myself and Key in the building today. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, not too bad. How you doing? You good?
Yeah, not bad. The chatter from yesterday's game has been quite interesting, to be honest. Same old stuff. But yeah, let's start there. Spain 2, England 1. Spain come out victorious against an England team that had a lot of expectation, but probably didn't live up to any of that expectation, either with the style they played, the level of performance, but they made it to the final. Whereas Spain won 7 of their 7 games at the European Championships, scored a record number of goals for a team across championships. So in my mind, they were overwhelming favourites to go into the final, and that kind of transpired in the game. What do you think, Keith?
Yeah, I agree. There was an air of optimism kind of around England and the whole media, etc. But if you kind of look at the two teams' performances over the course of the tournament, I think it'd be silly not to put Spain as favourites going into that game. And the match pretty much started in that vein as well. Spain were quite controlled. When England did get the ball back off them, they didn't keep it for long. It seemed quite rushed and forced what they were trying to do. And yeah, I think Spain were good for it overall, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, I think people were talking about, I think we talked about in the last episode how Gareth might do X, Gareth might do Y. And I said there's nothing to support that view, right? If anything, he's been stubbornly consistent with how he set up the team and style of play, etc. He made one change that he pretty much had to make, which was bringing Luke Shaw into the side. But apart from that, it was kind of the same old England, right? I think Spain had 70% possession in the first half, right? And I know, yes, the possession stats is what you do with the possession. However, it really told the story of sort of Spain's dominance with the ball in the first half. And he still persisted with that whole... He went back to a back four, it looked like. Persisted with Bellingham kind of taking up that space on the left-hand side. So, even with their wide threats, he still kind of persisted with leaving England a bit hamstrung on the left-hand side and not making any brave decisions about who to put there and basically just making a trade-off, right? He wanted Bellingham on, he wanted Foden on, etc., etc. But I think it's cost them in terms of shape and balance.
Yeah, 100%. And that just goes down to his style of playing it. Like Gareth Southgate has always been a very kind of pragmatic manager, not much of a risk taker. And if you look at his record over the last 4 tournaments, you can say, right, he's got two finals, two finals, a semi-final, and a quarter-final, which is fairly decent for a national manager. Like some managers don't even get to out of group stages, etc. So he can sit down and say, well, my style of play has got us so far. But I think you need to be a little bit more adaptable. It seems he's very one-dimensional in terms of no matter who we're playing, we're going to play the same kind of style of football. And I know he's changed the formation, and I think his hand was a little bit forced with that. So at the end of who did we play in the quarterfinals? So they mean in the last 16, sorry. When he took off Bellingham and Kane towards the end of the game. And the team just looked a bit disjointed. So he's like, let me get to I'll do like the 5-2-2-1 kind of formation. And it worked, and they used it against Switzerland and then against Netherlands. And you can say granted, we got over the line, but apart from the first half against the Netherlands, there was no real kind of attacking intent or
Nope.
on the front foot where we
Nope.
went out and kind of decided to dominate against the team. And don't get me wrong, Spain have been really good. Like they won 7 out of 7. They won 6 out of 6 going into the final. But if you look at their games against Germany and France,
Mm.
they were there for the taking. There was opportunities that both Germany and France had to get in behind and cause them problems. And it just seems like England didn't do that until they scored, and then there was like a maybe a 5-10 minute period after that where they were on top in terms of like an attacking threat. So
Yeah.
not just having the ball, because I think even though Spain had a lot of the ball in the first half, England done quite obviously apart from the goal that was conceded. England done quite well at kind of nullifying what Spain were doing. I know there's a lot of there was quite a few last gasp challenges. So Shaw done quite well a few times, and Gay and Stones got blocks in, etc. But I thought we were quite good at just kind of not allowing Spain to create too many clear-cut chances. And if you kind of take it back to the FA Cup final, Man City were ultimately the better team against Manchester United
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
paper, but Man United had a game plan in it. Like, we can soak up a bit of pressure, but we can hit you on the counter attack with our better players and cause you problems where, I don't know, stage fright or just individual performances didn't quite match up to what they did in the first half of the Netherlands game. It just seems that, like I said before, when we got the ball back from Spain, we just didn't know what to do. It seems like you can see the players thinking about, oh, what should I do? Who should I pass
Yeah.
to?
Patterns of
Rather than it
play.
be
Yeah.
rather instinctive. Where if you take the Spain opening goal, the ball's played down the right to Carvajal. He's done like a first time ball to Yamal, taken out Luke Shaw, and then all of a sudden he's through in over to Williams, bang 1-0. It seemed quite instinctive where that instinct lacked a little bit from England, I thought.
Yeah, and I think you identified it there. All of that boils back to, is Gareth the guy to get the best out of these players in a way that works, works to their talents and also keeps them competitive with, with their peers, right? Keeps them competitive with the people that are standing in their way to actually win a trophy. So yes, progress has been made. And let's not forget the stuff Gareth's done off the pitch as well, right? That's super important. He's built a platform for the next coach to kind of come and take that on and build on that. Even I was watching some stuff around, some of the stance he took with the players on the racism, some of the way he's backed some of those players. He hasn't shied away from certain conversations. So
Yeah.
I think, the measure of him as a person, it can't be questioned. It would be very easy for him to take the safe kind of political stances or political routes with touching on certain subjects, and he hasn't always done that, right?
Yeah.
But I think, look, the bar was low, right? So he took over a team that had been underachieving after the Iceland defeat, etc. For however long, England have always just fallen short quarters, etc., etc. So the bar wasn't super high, but I definitely think what he's done off the pitch, superb. The environment he's created, kind of that Club England piece, should not be underestimated. But at the end of the day, he's there to succeed on the pitch, to win on the pitch. They've not done that, and whilst I've seen some commentary today, like Jamie Carragher talking about, well, we're not Brazil, we're not one of these countries that's used to winning tournaments, so I don't understand where all this expectation comes from. I think that's a little bit simplistic. It's in the past it has been unjustified, but relative to the players you have now, right? Jude Bellingham was hailed as one of the best players in the league last season. Foden, we're getting told, was one of the best, or if not the best player in the Premier League last season.
Mm-hmm.
And, Harry Kane apparently was the best player in Germany last season, right? So, did this team play like a sum of its parts? No. I mean, I don't think Harry Kane was the best player in Bundesliga last season by any stretch of the imagination. But
Yeah.
hence the narrative, right? and then you've got other quote unquote generational talents in there. So look, you guys, people who listen to this pod regularly will know my view. You don't always have to be messing up to be moved on or for your employer to take the next step. And I just think it might be a chance to look at Lee Carsley, like you said, or look at how we can get a coach in who's going to be able to tweak the fine margins that it takes to win at this level, right? Because you look at it, that's what it was. Nico Williams' goal, Kyle Walker's not where he should be when he should be there. And then you look at the second goal, it's great movement and play and one-touch passing and they're in, right? So we're not talking any flukes there. All of that stuff comes from the way they play the game.
Yeah, definitely. And just going back to kind of the Gareth point, I think England have done well, like you said, in terms of getting the culture right of what things should be like behind the scenes. So if you even go back to St George's Park, that's been in place maybe about 10 years now. Since that's been in place, they've won like Euro under-21s, under-17 World Cup.
Yeah.
The women have won the Euros. I'm probably missing out something at a different age group as well. So the foundations are there. And I think them all kind of being based in and around the same place helps breed the culture going through. But you can't just have like the off the field stuff. You need to kind of have it translate on the field, and that does stem to the manager. Like going back to Carragher as well, a little piece he had today was like, well, yeah, there should be some blame attributed to Gareth, but why not the players as well? It's like, well, hold on. He selected a squad of more than capable players. Like I think if you went through the squads of the final and done man for man, there wouldn't be too much disparity between the two squads. But it's just about how you use them and who you're bringing on. It's like Anthony Gordon only had 4 minutes throughout the whole tournament, and you think, someone like him who can just kind of get in behind and just offer you something different. And I think that's the gripe with me. We never got to see anything different. It feels like a shoulda, woulda, coulda with England at this tournament. Like we know what Foden can do. We know what Bellingham can do. We know what Palmer can do. I'm not saying that Palmer shouldn't have been playing because Palmer came on and kind of had good moments. But you got a player like Anthony Gordon who he'll be fresh, and he'll just run at someone, and you just want to kind of maybe see something different. And I think he's had games where he could have done that, like
100%,
like the last group game. We were never not going to qualify out of the group. Like, right, I know you want to qualify top and get the easier passage through, but we were always going to qualify. Just play someone, let them see what they can do. Like, play a Wharton maybe, play a Gordon, start Mainu instead of Gallagher in those kind of situations, just to kind of see what else the team can do in different situations with different players. And I think that makes it easier if you get further in the tournament and you do need to make a change. You're not just relying on the same core people. Because I just had a look and I think, granted, they all didn't play lots of minutes, but the only Spain player not to touch the pitch was their third choice goalkeeper.
Imagine.
So, you know what I mean?
Imagine.
And that helps breed confidence within the team. Like, obviously, we don't know what went on within the England camp. We don't know if people had gripes, etc. But yeah, I just feel it's a missed opportunity to kind of showcase what else England can do in certain games.
And I agree. And I think when you see people being shoehorned into positions that are not theirs, and then there are people who you've picked because they've excelled in that specific position because it is their position, you could have definitely done a bit more to try and understand and exploit that. And I don't think he has. And I think, you probably need a manager who he trusts the players that he brings. And so I made a point to me the other day: if you're going to bring Gordon, you're going to bring Wharton, etc., and they're not going to touch pitch, you might as well have just bought Rashford, Grealish, Henderson. You might as well just bought them then.
Yeah, this is it. Like,
might as well just bought them, and then at least, in a situation where it's dying minutes or whatever, you've got a certain level of experience on the bench, and you can bring them on. So you've taken the risk of bringing inexperienced players or taking the kudos of a fresh squad, but you've not risked anything. You've not played them. You've not felt the benefit of the risk of bringing in experienced players. So I think there's that, and then when you couple with his tactical approach and almost he only does things when he's back against the wall. The Manu selection was 2 or 3 games too late. You know, he was bringing on Ivan Toney with 30 seconds to go. It was just very last minute and a bit slapdash. So look, I think again, no one is shocked by yesterday's result. I think England winning that game yesterday would have been just the epitome of what their tournament has been, moments, rather than a continuation of any brilliant play, fantastic form, any kind of overwhelmingly convincing, right to
Yeah,
win. Whereas
that's
actually,
what. Sorry, like I say, that's what I was listening on BBC yesterday, and Alan Shearer were just having on that moments
yeah, that's true.
thing. You're like, oh yeah, we had moments with the Bellingham, we had moments with Tony and Watkins, yeah, etc. And I was like, granted, it's tournament football, you can rely on moments, but occasionally you want a bit of football. You want your team to be able
Well,
to
well,
create
not
something.
even occasionally. If you're relying on moments, they're not like moments, so they happen sometimes and they don't, right? Whereas the team that isn't relying on that and can rely on their consistent, on their foundation, how they play, everyone knows their role, everyone knows their job, etc. We don't have the captain coming out and saying, actually, we don't really know how to press or whatever it is Harry Kane said early on. Or we don't know how to play against the back three. Everyone knew their role, knew everything. There's no other outcome when you get to a final that suggests Spain winning. As I said, 6 wins out of 6 before that. They've used most of their squad, etc. So yeah, as much as it's painful to see players like Saka, Bellingham, all of these young guys who have come in and made a difference. Kobe Mainu, it would have been amazing for him to have had the impact he's had at Man United this season, and then with the England team to come away with something. But they'll learn, and I just hopefully they get given a manager who can move them forward and have them playing the type of football that their talent suggests, and more importantly, who's willing to make bold decisions, who's willing to do unpopular things. If you have to be pushing Bellingham as one of your attacking front three on the left hand side, you can't tell me there aren't more suited decisions. And whether Bellingham played well or not, it didn't work. That did not work. The left side of England did not work as well as it could. So you've hamstrung the team, like, by depleting 20% of its capacity, or
Yeah,
if it's attacking promise, right? 20 to
and
25%. So
yeah, and the thing is, like, whoever comes in has essentially got to block out the media in it. And
easier
we're
said than done,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I know. I'm saying, like, we're all guilty of doing it. Us on this podcast, other podcasts, radio shows, print media, TV media. We're all guilty of saying this player should be picked, this player should be played, etc.
Mm,
And like I say, it's a squad. It's a squad game when you come to internationals, isn't it?
yeah.
And ultimately, you pick your squad of the players that you think are the best. But I think when you're picking your 11, you need to pick not necessarily the best players, you need to pick the right players. And I think that's where a lot of England managers, Gareth less so, because one, I think he hasn't had as much difficulty picking players for certain positions as previous England managers. But I think he's still a bit guilty of shoehorning players in and sticking with players who he shouldn't have, notably with this tournament, kind of Foden, etc. And like I said in the previous pod I was on, I think it should be Carsley. I think Carsley's done really well with the under 21s, and it would be good to see how he would do with the senior squad. And if you take that with like Gareth's Spanish counterpart, De La Fuente started with the under 18s or under 19s, then went to the under 21s, and then went to the senior team, and he's won a trophy with all of those teams.
Yep.
And it goes to show that you don't necessarily need a big name to breed success. You just need someone
Just need the right name.
you just need someone who knows what they're doing. Like Carsley had taken a young team away to a tournament. A lot of them, it would have been their first tournament. away for, I think it's only 2 weeks, the under 21s, maybe 3 weeks, but he knows what it's about. And I think him coming in, if it was him or whoever comes in next, needs to pick players who he thinks is going to do a job. And if it means leaving out certain players, even players like Bellingham or Kane, if they're getting the hump because they're not in a starting lineup for England, they shouldn't be in the camp as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because it's a privilege just to be called up as far as I'm concerned. I know there's a certain level of expectation and mentality, etc.
Yeah.
But if you're in that camp and you know, right, if my role is only 15 minutes, but after that 15 minutes we're going to come away with success, you should be happy with that. You're part of the nation, you're part of the camp that could potentially breed something. And I think we just need to get away with so and so should start and just play the team that would be most successful on the pitch.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I think some of that is just inherent in football, right? We're seeing it with Portugal. You know, if a coach wanted to drop Cristiano, Bruno Fernandes, you know, it'd be trouble. And you, it's at the point where your decision better come through, right? When Ronaldo got dropped to the last, I think it was at the World Cup, and
Yeah.
Ramos has come on and he scored a hat trick. Guy was like, "There you go, right?
Yeah.
There you go." So yeah, look, let's see. I mean, to talk about Spain a little bit more, to your point about De La Fuente, fantastic job. Trophy at every level. At every level, he's coaching Spain's national team. He's got a relatively nice blend of young players, probably players that are not lauded anywhere, apart from Yamin Lawal or Nico Williams. Let's be honest, he wasn't lauded in a way
Yeah, they
that.
had no real standout player going into the tournament, did they?
Apart from
Yeah.
your Wild, I think that was it, right? So, people like Cucurella, he's not had a great season. So apart from Rodri, and even Fabian Ruiz, who did okay at PSG, you could argue that this is someone that has got a lot out of the players that he's got. He's set them up in a way that allowed them to flourish. They understood what they were doing. They understood why they were doing it. And outside of Carvajal and Rodri, he had a team of players that no one was backing to win this tournament beforehand. And even Yamal, young player, has done all right, but we weren't expecting to make this kind of splash here with his goal and assist contribution. So, hats off to him. He's an example of what can be done with a bit of structure, with a ideology of how to play the game. And he had big injuries early on, right? Lost Pedri,
Yeah.
right? That he almost come in, and you could argue, it's about quality of player, but the players we're talking about, you can't tell me England squad doesn't have the same level of quality of player or better. Then Rodri goes off at half time, right?
And everyone's thinking, rubbing their hands.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like,
So the player that
and
everyone has said has been Spain's best player, anchor, whatever, he comes off at half time. Makes no difference. He comes off at
yeah,
half time, they score within a minute or two
yeah.
of the restart.
And that's my point about you can not have your best players on the pitch and still perform to a high standard as long as everyone kind of is pulling in the same way. Like Le Normand, I'd never heard of him before the start of the tournament. And I think he plays for Sociedad, and the majority of the Spanish team came up from Sociedad.
Yeah.
And you would never have thought that kind of previously going into the tournament. Like I say, go back to Cucurella.
Yeah.
If you start the tournament and it's come back to bite Gary Neville. Gary Neville.
Yeah.
So just you seeing someone week in, week out in the Premier League, granted they haven't been to a high standard, he hasn't hit his Brighton heights, but in the right system, you can perform if you know what your job is and you know what you need to do.
And they need to stop that singling out of people. You could talk about individual players, but singling the man out as to the reason why his country hasn't got a chance of winning this tournament is just poor. That's just poor. And
but he done it with Trent as well, didn't he? He said he will cost England goals.
Yeah.
if he plays at right back. And I tweeted, I was like, okay, fair enough. You can have that opinion, but it's got to be based on something. And you can't sit here and say that will happen. Like my cat would be like, well, when he's played for England, when has he costed England a goal?
Yeah.
Like you've got to have a you've got to have a basis for it.
You can say it
You
as
can't just
part of
say
a
the
unit.
assumption.
Yeah, part of you. I don't even mind with strikers saying you got less chance of winning with him because he won't score the goals you need.
Yeah,
That's different. We can directly attribute that to the striker. But to just go and say you're not going to win the Euros or one of the big ones because of your left back, it's just kind of lazy, man. So yeah, I love it when they clap back. I love that now. He'll brush it off because he's allowed to say and do it. There's not much accountability or contrition when for him when he says stuff like that and doesn't get it right. And I think it's interesting. I think the pundits, the not so great pundits who are living off their name and relative ego, they've taken a bit of a beat in this tournament. There's a meme going around, interestingly, about why Mata, he's got lots of notes on his notepad, and I don't know, maybe someone's used AI or something. Maybe he actually did have those. And then next to him, Rio's got nothing on his notepad, like zero, And then Mata's got notes and facts. Rio's just got vibes. And it was so funny, but that's genuinely how it feels sometimes. It just feels like these guys are like, well, I've been doing this for a long time. I play for Man United. I know what I'm talking about. Well, actually, no, that it doesn't translate.
yeah, it's not always the case.
So, talking about the future, we've talked about Gareth's future a lot. Like, if we move that on to players now, I can immediately just think of two players who, we should be having a conversation about whether they're around for the next major tournament, and that's Walker and Kane, right? Walker's 34. I don't care how fast he is. This got to be his last international tournament for England, and I wouldn't even be surprised if he came out retired from international duty after this. Yeah, he's 34. He'll be, by the time the next World Cup starts, he'll be 36. And Harry Kane is 31, 32?
He's 30. I looked up before we started. So I think I agree with Walker.
He's 31 next week.
Yeah,
he's 31 in 13 days, so he's 31 in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I agree with Walker. I think Walker's been quite lucky in terms of the team that he plays for and the kind of lack of exposure that he normally has playing for Manchester City.
Yes.
I'm not doubting his ability. Like he's a really good player. He's still got his pace, which gets him out of trouble. But there are times where his positioning has caught him, and I don't think he's been as stellar as everyone has kind of made out. I don't think he's been head and shoulders above Trent or Trippier this season. I think there's much of a muchness between them.
The other element there is the Ben White thing, right? I think Ben White challenges for that a lot, or maybe he plays CB for this team if he's there. And I think you have that Ben White Saka combo on the right hand side. So again, that's another thing that needs to be talked about when you talk about Gareth and his team. Whatever that problem is, should it be resolved so you have the best players in that play?
Oh yeah, 100%. And obviously we don't know how deep that runs.
Yeah.
But if Ben White was available, he would have been a shoo-in for starting right back for me.
And then Kane.
Yeah, Kane. I'm a Kane advocate, innit? I think Kane at England has run his course. Like I wouldn't say he shouldn't be in the squad anymore, but I think having Kane as your focal point just isn't working. Just because of the way he plays, you want someone who's going to be at the top of the pitch as an outlet. And there's too many times where he's just in the wrong position. He's not in the box. He's out wide right. He's out wide left. And granted, I know like he works hard. Like if you look at his KM stats, they're most probably one of the highest in the team. But there's certain times you just need someone to stretch the defence and just be the problem. And he just wasn't that. I think he wasn't fully fit going into this tournament.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's why he was taken off. So I think if Kane was 100% fit, he doesn't come off as early as he did yesterday. Doesn't come off as early in semi-final. Yeah, this is it.
This is the first time we've seen Kane get in some of the competitive games like that.
Yeah, and if he wasn't fit, it's an injustice to himself and the team, basically. Like, I know everyone kind of wants the glory, etc., but there's certain times where you've got to be like, right, is it better for someone else to play
Mm,
and then me come on with 20 minutes to go
mm,
and just be a nuisance, etc.
mm.
So yeah, I think Walker, I don't see him being part of the next kind of Nations League and then the World Cup qualifying campaign. And then Kane, I think he should be in the squad, but then I think you've got to start looking at your options because we're like as I said before, we know what you can do or we know what you could do. That's dropped off a little bit now.
Yeah.
Let's see what the next gen are capable of doing.
Well, it all depends on which man. If Gareth's still going to be there, I don't see that happening. I'll be honest. But if a new manager comes in, it's a tricky one, right? Because if you start to deplete his playing time in the team, I've heard Ray Rooney talking about it, and he said, "Listen, if I'm not going to be playing, I should be captain. Like, and
Yeah,
then
that's no drama.
if I'm not going to be captain, I might as well just pack it in, kind of vibe, as England player. So, there definitely needs to be a two-way thing where it has to be realised. But yeah, I agree with you. I think someone needs to come in and take that stance and give someone else that confidence of knowing that you will have a run of games, you will have the opportunity to score goals, and I think it'll be interesting to see this England team with the right people in the right places. You choose between Foden or Bellingham if you want to play him in the 10. So you choose between Foden or Bellingham. You play a left winger out on the left wing or a left wide forward out there, and you have someone like Ollie Watkins or Tony who's a little bit more mobile, who's not interested in dropping too deep, and see actually what that does for England as an attacking force, right? And then again, midfield, you've got Kobe Mainoo, you've got Wharton, you've got Rice, who's, got Lies left. And defence wise, there's plenty of people, as we've seen. Gay's come in, there's Konsa, you've got, you've got Joe Gomez, you've got Ben White there. Like, the list is there. Maguire
Yeah,
doesn't even need to see St. George's Park again, as far as I'm concerned. Like, so yeah, it's an opportunity to kind of move forward, not just on the manager front, but I think on a few players. It's time to shed and go again. And this season will bring more on that. Wharton will be another Premier League season in with his Crystal Palace career. There's the under 21 players who did well last season. Some of those that aren't in the first team yet, they'll be doing what they're doing in the Premier League. So, and maybe a new manager might actually give the Ruben Loftus-Cheeks of this world a chance. Fikayo Tomori, all these people that
yeah.
you know.
I think other than like I'm not Pickford's massive fan,
Mm,
but for England, he rarely puts a foot wrong. Like I know there's a couple friendly games where he made like a couple errors, etc. But a bit like Maguire, when he puts on the England shirt, he's pretty solid. And I think other than the England goalkeeper position, I think every spot is up for grabs.
yeah, fair.
I think all the outfield spots are pretty much up for grabs, and I think that's what you want. Like, yeah, it's good to have like a core team, etc.
Mm.
But yeah, you play the best players that are best for the team,
Yeah,
and not the best players individually.
no, I agree, and also a bit more consistency. I don't think Raheem Sterling got the same grace Harry Maguire got when he wasn't playing, or Calvin Phillips got when he wasn't playing well.
Yeah,
And again, I can't believe that's just down to form. I think he paid the price for choosing to take that break. I think it was last season, the friendlies. He said he wasn't going to play. He was going to take a break. So yeah, I think the best thing for England now is to move on, get a new manager and new regime, and that's going to build on the good stuff Gareth did. Hopefully, pick a fresh batch of players and then keep going. I mean, from Spain's point of view, this could be, it could be another run. If we look at the players in this team, we've talked about almost really young. Rodri's not exactly old. He's what, 26, 27.
yeah.
Yamal is 17. Nico Williams is
17.
19, 20. I think their big gaping hole was Morata. He's 32, 32, 33.
Yeah, I said
Sorry,
that
he's
yesterday. If
31.
they had,
He's 32 in October. What do they do for the World Cup? He's not going to be languishing around in the World Cup. Carvajal as well. He's what, 32? Is he around at the World Cup? Discuss.
yeah,
So yeah,
possibly. I know they've got like Ferran Torres and stuff, but
yeah,
they haven't had like a quality striker for a very long time. I
yeah.
think maybe Villa was their last proper
David Villa.
striker, and
Yeah.
even him was like a
Well,
kind of
Fernando
force.
Torres.
Like, but yeah, but he never really got like a consistent run of games
Mm, mm.
for Spain. And I think yeah, if they had like a quality striker, they would. I think they would have maybe won the tournament by a little bit
Yeah.
more, to be
Joselu
honest.
was on the bench, but It's not.
Yeah, this is like they're not like a top
Yeah,
striker.
yeah.
But
So their
I think
future looks
they're
bright.
in they're in good stead. So
Well, all right. So yeah, that's that. The Euros have concluded. Much to everyone's disappointment, but I don't think it's not what anyone expected. With Spain kind of holding that trophy aloft, and inevitably all the conversations for the next few weeks and will be around England. I'm sure Gareth will come out and say something or do something about his position in the next few days. By the end of the week, I'll be surprised if we don't hear he's either staying or he's moving on. And then brace yourself for all the pre-season press conferences when these guys get back from their holidays about the disappointment of the Euros. How does this affect their season? Does it make them more determined to go again? Blah 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 blah. All the usual lazy journalist questions.
very true.
I guess just to quickly touch on, this wasn't the only international tournament of great significance going on during this month. The Copa America was also happening. Argentina and Colombia played in a final that kicked off at 1 a.m. UK time on Monday the
Yeah, and that
15th.
was it was meant to start one, but it got delayed for like an hour and a half
Oh yeah,
just
yeah.
because of the crowd trouble outside. So it didn't kick off till like an
Not
hour and a
great.
half later.
Not great. And another example or another kind of talking point to some of the issues that have been talked about at Copa America: the size of the pitches, security, pricing of tickets, which some people feel was to blame for poor attendance at a lot of games, etc., etc. I think you said earlier one of our WhatsApp groups, this was meant to be a dry run for the World Cup and they failed miserably. But they've got two and a bit years to fix it, notwithstanding all the other problems they've got going on in that country at the moment.
Indeed.
But Argentina, Colombia, Colombia kind of went in that game. I wouldn't say as favourites, but were in
Yeah,
form.
they was on form. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic campaign in the competition so far. James Rodriguez has been reborn. I think he had 5 or 6 assists.
Yeah, got player of the tournament as well, even though
Yeah,
we
there you
lost.
go. Diaz. So they went in hot favourites. However, 0-0 full in 90 minutes, and Lautaro Martinez came up with a goal in extra time. Messi had come off on the 65th or 70th minute with an ankle injury. Have you
Yeah,
seen the
it looked
picture of
pretty
his
bad.
ankle?
Yeah, it looked really bad.
Like a balloon. And I guess that's what he's dealing with and playing through to still play at this age. Yeah, some of these players, when they get to 60, 65, it's going to be interesting to see what state they're in. Apart from Ronaldo, he'll probably still be jumping at the back post. So another trophy for Argentina, another major trophy for Messi. So that's Copa America, World Cup, Copa America. So effectively, he's won the last 3 tournaments he's entered
Yeah, and
with Argentina.
they won the final. What's it called? Final Mistela? What's it? How do you say it?
What's
So
that?
the winner of the European Championships plays the winner of Copa America. So they beat Italy last year at Wembley
Ah,
in that.
there you
So it
go.
means they're going to play
Spain.
Spain next year.
Yeah, nice,
So yeah,
nice.
that'll be interesting. There's a lot of clamour for it to be played at the new camp, so he can have a farewell. But if I was him, I'd hang it up, man. I'd just be like, you know what? I've done it all now, innit? Like,
Yeah, but he's what in terms of Argentina?
yeah. Like,
Nah, I don't
still
think.
get the run out at Inter Miami, but
I don't. I'll be surprised if he retires from international football alone. I think when he retires, he just retires.
just one
If you
fell swoop.
mate, if you saw when he came off yesterday, people were crying.
Yeah,
When he came off the pitch, people were crying because they thought that was the last time they were going to see him, etc. I don't know if he's
yeah,
voluntarily going to do that. I agree with you. He should probably just retire from international football now, enjoy my into Miami, walk around that MLS league like he's been doing for the last season, pop the 1-2s and the free kicks, earn his money, and look forward to the next life because he's definitely not going to be a coach or anything. But
yeah, definitely.
I doubt the love of that team and what it
But yeah,
means
he
to.
started the transition because he didn't even start every game for them. I think it might have been their last group game. He might have like not played. or
Yeah, but they
came
were
on a
already
sub,
through at that point, no?
etc. Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
But
there you go.
some people still like to play. Like even with Suarez
Mm,
kind of had the same stance with Uruguay. Like
mm,
I think he's a little bit older than Messi, maybe, or
mm.
he's still in the twilight anyway.
Yeah,
And but it was quite fitting that he scored the winner in the fourth playoff against Canada
mm,
on Saturday night.
yeah.
I don't think it third before the whole melee happened. But yeah, I
But
think the Copa America has been good, and I quite like it. It's a small tournament. Like I'm not gonna lie, like they went straight from group stage to quarterfinals. They had no extra time in the quarterfinals or semi-finals. It
oh
was like
yes,
90
yes.
minutes straight penalties
But they brought
if
extra
need
time back
be.
for the final.
Yeah,
Fair
for the
enough.
final.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like I think me and Daz mentioned it on here. Like the only gripe we had with the Euros was that in the group stages you didn't have to play well to qualify. You could win one
Mm.
game and get through.
Yeah, but
So
there was still
we know
jeopardy, right? As we saw, people end up on the wrong side of that draw was congested. That side of the draw
it
was
was
congested. There was still jeopardy. So there was you didn't have to get to go through, but you definitely had to play well to build yourself a certain path, right?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, and I guess kind of got the Copa America. Then now, obviously, teams are back for pre-season. The
Yeah,
transfer window is going to be spinning up, and the chat's already happened. Man United have already made a signing, so the signs actually that's gone through. So yeah, I'm seeing all the content on the internet of teams coming back to training. You know, so the Ross Barkley at Villa, that was a move that kind of went on the radar, you know, a bit quietly.
yeah, good move though.
Yeah, agreed. Nice redemption arc for him, if you ask me. Let's see how he plays in a super intense, Emery team. I saw Arsenal are back, Liverpool are back. So yeah, Salah's still here. Everyone said he's going to be going to Saudi this preseason. He's still here. What's it going to be like Arne Slot's first season? Can Arsenal kick on? Apparently, Edison's going to Saudi.
Yeah, crazy. Man United played the first pre-season today as well.
Yeah, and they lost.
Yeah, yeah.
They lost.
Just think like the league starts in like 4 weeks, man. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's gonna come round
Very,
very soon.
very quickly. Charity Shield's on the 8th of August or something crazy.
Yeah,
So it's actually a bit bad. So yeah, let's see who does what. I'm interested to see who City buys, right? Because Alvarez probably wants to leave. And you know what City are like. They'll buy someone who we don't think they need and they'll end up becoming important or whatever it is. So interested to see
yeah,
what they do.
100%.
Yeah. Vardio's second season, you know, all of this stuff.
Yeah,
So
I think
yeah.
it'll be another interesting league. Like obviously, we'll do the assessment once the transfer window has closed. But yeah, I think it's going to be another good season. Hopefully.
Yeah, I agree. All right. The Euros is finally over. England haven't won it again. Some would say it's the same old story. But congratulations to Spain.
Yeah,
Um,
fair play.
I think it's cliche, but football won. I'll be honest. Football won with that team winning, and in the fashion they did as well. The 2 goals, it wasn't penalties or one of those things. So
And 7 out of 7, you can't knock it in it. So
it's just
quite
crazy.
fitting.
Just crazy. And another superstar was born, it seems. So yeah, we'll be back next time. Probably looking. We'll be a few more days into the post-mortem. There'll be more transfer window activity, and at that point, we know, as Keith said, we'll be 3 or so weeks out from the season. So yeah, it'll be time to start looking ahead, make some predictions. All right. We'll see you next time.
Peace.